Eloise here. This week on Clinic Chats, what pinged to talk about is anger. So, anger is an interesting emotion. In Chinese medicine, there are 5 emotions. We've got worry, fear, joy, and sadness. They're the same emotion because sadness is just lack of joy. Grief and anger. So, they all have a function in the body, in the way that we're made up and getting things in the body moving or not moving or whatever needs to be done. All of the emotions have a purpose and a function. And the purpose of anger is to get things moving, literally, getting the blood flowing, getting things circulating. So in society, generally, anger is pushed away. It's frowned upon. You shouldn't get angry. So what do we do when we feel anger? Like, some people do explode and they get really angry. And some people just, like the majority of people, just go, I'm going to hide my anger. We suppress it down because we shouldn't be angry. So this leads to loads of excess anger stored in the body because we're like emotional filing cabinets. We store all of the stuff away that we don't process. So if I have an incident and something happens and I get angry and I don't express the anger, that anger, I'm going to collect it in my body. So there are classic areas of the body where you will kind of collect anger in particular. One way that they normally show up is gallstones. So if you have gallstones or you know anyone who has, look at your unexpressed anger because there's probably something going on around that theme. It might not always be 100% traditional, but there'll be something going on there. So when we really suppress our anger, we'll actually form it into stones in the gallbladder. That's just one of the ways that it can show up. So we need anger in our bodies to get things moving, to get things circulating. And we do need anger in our lives to get things moving. You imagine when you're feeling stuck and, maybe you're just kind of just going through the motions of life and nothing much is happening. Or maybe you're hitting a brick wall and nothing's happening the way you want it to. Something's going to happen. You're going to get really kind of angry in some way. And that anger kind of propels you to take action, or it gets you into motion, or it gets things blasted out of the way. If you're having an argument and you get angry, the other person is going to realize how you're feeling. You're going to get that energy out. You're going to get motion. You're going to get your message to them because they may have to take notice of you. It's like, it serves a purpose. But because we're so programmed to suppress it, because it's a bad thing, we don't always express our anger. Now, I'm not saying that this is giving you permission to go out and beat people up and, get angry with everybody, because that's too much anger. It's like we need to find this balance. So I, being a classic, lady, I used to suppress my anger. And when I started getting therapy work and I started looking at my stuff, I suddenly started getting angry and I was like, whoa, who is this woman? But I was getting angry at things which, were understandable. Like someone, hadn't done something. I was running an event for 20 people and the supermarket that I ordered from, which will be nameless, didn't bring all the food. So we had a whole weekend where we didn't have enough food for all the people. I got a bit angry about that. And, I was on the call centre when I got home. But the anger came up, I expressed it, and it dissipated immediately. And I just apologised, and the guy's like, no, that's fine. We messed up. Here's what we're going to do, da, 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 da. And it just came up just to get things moving, and then it dissipated. Now, that is a healthy expression of anger. The anger comes up, does its job, we feel it, we notice it for a moment, and then it dissipates. If we get stuck in anger, and you're just like one of those angry people that's going around shouting at people all the time, that's swinging the other way. So no anger or too much anger is bad. We want to be in the middle. That when it comes up, we can kind of express it in some way. And I always say to clients, I'm like, Go and scream at a pillow or shout at the sea, or, get your emotions out. It's good to feel them and express them and be them for a moment and not suppress them all down all the time, because we just inundate ourselves and drown in all this emotion. And, it has to be stored somewhere in the body. So sometimes you can actually have excess weight because your body's run out of storage areas. So it just creates more storage for all the emotions that you haven't got out. So, there could be other benefits from getting rid of it. So when I'm working with clients, we're quite often emotionally decluttering. We're getting all this suppressed anger out. We're getting all the anger out from all these incidents and things that have happened over the years. It feels so freeing. It really does. So this isn't about getting angry on purpose. This is about just honoring when you feel angry and just noticing when the anger comes up and not immediately going to, oh, I've got to push it down. I can't feel this. Actually letting it sit there for a bit and actually feeling it and going, okay, I feel angry, and just honoring that for a moment before you move on. Even just having that moment of feeling it. You don't have to go and rant and rave and scream. You can just feel it in your body and be with it for a moment, and then it will pass. Something happened to me this week where, like, just some ridiculous situation happened, and what I didn't want to happen happened, even though I'd taken like 18 minutes of my time to try and avoid it. So I was like, and I'm like, still happened, and the anger came up. I got really angry, and I'm like, well, they, these people just didn't listen. They didn't do their job. They ignored me. They ignored a phone call. They ignored an email. They avoided another phone call. It was just like this ridiculous situation. So my anger came up, and I'm like, okay, let's just be with the anger for a moment. Like my body's physically shaking because it's so angry. And then, it settles down, it dissipates, and, I'm calm again. Thinking back to it, I've got no feelings or emotions because I cleared them out in the moment. Now, will I still bring it up when I speak to them? Yes. But there won't be anger there because I've already processed it. Does that make sense? So, like, it's acknowledging and honoring how you're feeling in the moment. You don't have to act and scream and rant, but just be present with the emotions. Now, I know we're talking about anger here because it tends to be the one that we suppress the most, but all emotions are valid. So, how are you feeling today? What's going on? You can journal about stuff. That can be really helpful to get it out. You can talk to a friend, but just frame up like, hey, I just want to talk. You don't need to fix me. I don't need this fixing. I just want to vent. Women are great at listening to this kind of stuff. But if we get into our male energy, we start wanting to fix. And sometimes I'm like, I don't want you to fix it. I just want you to listen. I just want to rant for a bit. And then, if you just say that to them up front, or just get a teddy bear and sit and talk to a teddy bear, or talk to yourself in the mirror, or go for a walk and just go through it in your head. Find some way of clearing your emotions and how you're feeling. This isn't about coping, it's about finding a way of moving it and getting it through you instead of suppressing it away. Because over time, all of that suppression of your emotions, we're just getting more emotional junk in the body. And that emotional junk is like junk in your house. If we get excess junk and we start to become a hoarder, that stuff just limits our ability to move around. It limits the flow of energy in our home. About feng shui and things like that. What we want to do is to have movement, and we want to have movement and flexibility in the body. So all this excessive emotion just kind of gets things sticky. It fills a space, and then that energy can't move through. That movement starts to degenerate, and eventually disease can set in. So we need to get the emotions moving. We need to get in touch with ourselves and know how we're feeling and not suppress everything. And the more we can do to declutter it, and get through it all, the better. Now, I have done some series of sessions on emotions from time to time, and it's something that I will do in the future, but I've done one on fear. So I'll put that link below if you want to dive into that topic in a little bit more detail, because fear is another interesting emotion to, navigate. We've all felt fear at some point in our lives, probably on a daily basis. So that's another topic. But you can apply this to anything. It's like we need to get the emotions moving, regardless of what they are. But anger is a great one because we're told not to feel it. And it's the same, like when we start crying, everyone's like, oh, just stop crying. And it's like, well, that's the worst thing to do. You need to get the tears out. I cry all the time. Well, not every single minute of the day, but I cry quite a bit. And it's just like letting the emotion out. If I say goodbye to someone and I'm not going to see them for a while, I'm going to have grief come up for a moment just to let it out. Sometimes we have tears of joy, like you can cry for different reasons, but I just honor it. I don't get embarrassed anymore. I'm like, just let it be because I'm getting it out. And as soon as, I've left or I've, moved on like 2 minutes later, it's like it's gone. It's like it's not like I'm feeling sad because I've expressed the emotion. It doesn't stick around. So I hope this has helped you. Put some comments, questions below, and yeah, dive into your emotions. I mean, if you are dealing with quite a lot, you may want to go and see a therapist and get some talk therapy or there's some great modalities out there to help you process trauma and, deep emotions. But for the general day-to-day stuff, you can do it yourself. And that's so powerful, just to honor how you're feeling and be okay with that. So I'll catch up with you soon. Bye.